Hello, I'm Deborah and I'm going to show you how to make a little book. Here's some samples that we've made earlier. These are little books that are made out of lots of scrap paper, little bits of everything, including some envelopes that are in this one, and colouring book pages has made the inside cover. And this one, these are fabric covered and these are paper covered. I've used an atlas. And so it's got lots of scraps of paper in that I can use to write in or draw in, but I do have to think about different pages. Different pages will have different qualities to whether you want to draw or write, so think about that when you're making it. To make a scrap book like this, little scrap journal, you'll need a range of paper. This is a massive range of paper, but it's nice to have a range. If you are going to draw and write, it's nice to have a bit of cartridge in there, but I've got wrapping paper, scraps of paper that comes around our toilet roll, shoe paper, brown paper, an old light shade, all sorts of bits and pieces that I've collected, let's say. You'll also need some card. Card is great for the cover, and we'll cover this, so it doesn't matter what colour it is because you'll change it. Or you can use this thicker card as well. This is the back of my craft paper pack, so that's good, but you have to think that you're going to have to get a needle through this because we are going to sew. So we'll also need thread to sew with and a needle, a nice sharp needle with a big eye, because we're going to use thick thread. This is embroidery thread and we use all 6 strands of it, or we're going to use some thick twine that is good and strong, or you could use this very thin ribbon that also makes a good bind for books. And we'll also need some glue, sticks of glue, or PVA will do. If you use PVA you'll have to wait for it to dry a bit longer, and a straight edge ruler or any of these creasing things, pencil, pen. And you're going to make your book from scratch, and the first thing that we have to do is decide what size. Oh, I'm in the art stop and my dogs are here, so one of them's asleep and he's having a little dream, if that's what you can hear. You have to decide on what size you want, and that is sometimes dependent on your resources. So if your paper is big, you can make a bigger book, but if you've got lots of small pieces and card, I think A5 is the biggest book I make. And so in order to start your book, you make a template, and your template is twice the size of your book. So if this is the size book you want, your template is this big. If you want a little square book like this, your template is this size. Today I'm going to make a book this big, and so my template is this big. I'm going to put these on one side. This is the template for my pages. When I come to my cover I have to make it a little bit bigger, and we have to keep that in mind. But this is going to be my page template. And so what I would do, if I'm going to use, let's say that's difficult to see in this light. If I'm going to make this pink page here, I'm going to draw around it with my pencil, like I have done there, and then I'm going to cut it out. I'll cut it out just in between, inside the lines, so that I don't have to worry about my pencil line showing up. Cut as neatly as you can. I'm a bit of a rough cutter. And then, very importantly, every page you make will make, every page you cut out like this makes 2 pages, because we're going to fold them in half, so that is 1 page, 2 page, but it's also making 4 pages. You've got a front, a back, front and a back, so every page really makes 4 pages. And then we're going to use this straight edge here to really, once you fold it in half like this, get it as neatly as you can folded, and you're really going to press down with a ruler or some kind of straight edge, flat edge, that will really make that crease, you know. And you can do this as well so that the crease is really strong and has flexibility. You can also decide which way around you want your page. So I cut out lots of pages here ready for this book. And now I'm going to make the cover. I'm going to put all of these. I like to see them all snug inside. I've trimmed these a little bit. You could trim them totally so that they're all absolutely fit perfectly with this line. But I'm happy with mine like this so that some stick out and some don't. But that's totally personal choice. So I'm going to put my pages on one side while I make the cover. So, to make a cover for a book with pages this size, I need to go a little bit bigger than the pages here. And this here, so happens, I found yesterday, is perfect. I know it's got holes in it, and it's got this little index bit here. But I'm not going to worry about these holes because I'm going to cover this in a minute with two sheets, one on the inside, one on the outside. So I'm not really bothered. And I'm just going to trim that off. I'm very tempted to leave it on as a little feature, but it just becomes a little bit complex when I'm covering it. But you know, if you've got time, you can do that. So then I choose my cover. Well, I also, you need to choose the colour of your cover on the outside and the inside. But you also have to do the same as you did with the pages and fold it in half as neatly as you can. Do that creasing again. This is a bookmaking technique, this creasing. They use things like this, a creaser. But I often use a ruler because that's what's to hand. And I like to do it inside and out so this cover's got a lot of flexibility. And then I decide what colour I want to make on the inside and what colour I want to make on the outside. On the outside one, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Like this, so that I can overlap it around the edge. Which is where I'll get my handy ruler out. And I'm kind of guessing about a couple of centimetres. Chop it out. And if I was using PVA, I would coat it all in PVA now, but I'm going to use these glue sticks. And I don't need to have it on top of there like that, but it doesn't matter too much. Oh, not that glue stick. And I'm going to coat this whole page, this whole cover. It's not a page, it's a cover. In glue, including all your corners and all of your edges, very important. And then I'm going to cut this. This is our toilet roll. Our toilet roll at the art stock comes in this paper. If you're not happy, just peel it back off again. And if it's creased like this, you can pull it up, push it down, and make it as neat as you want it to be. While it's still wet, you've got a little bit of time. And then we put a little bit of glue on all of these edges. Well, so make sure that your glue is good on the other side actually, there's a little bit missing there. That's plenty. That's okay. So glue these edges and fold it over. And I'm going to glue these little bits down because that's where there's a double layer, there's no glue underneath. Make it nice and neat. And now at this point, if you want to, I would fold, I'm going to push that into there because I'm going to glue this side in a minute anyway. And I'm going to fold it over and check that it does what I want it to do. And I'll probably cover this with some other little bits of decor as well to get rid of the bits I don't want. Now on the inside of here, this is the opportunity to add a bookmark and a wrapping if you want it to have that wrap like this one here. Now here is an example of, this is the bookmark that I have, and I placed it underneath the inside cover, and I also, this is where it wraps around to close it, and I placed that underneath the inside cover as well. So I'll show you how to do that before I move on to the next step, and I'm going to use those as the next step. So if I want to put a bookmark in, I'm going to match it this time. I'm going to use some of this. So down this, just on the inside, the back of the cover here, on the inside, just where my crease is here, but on this side of it, I'm going to put this bookmark. And I might even have it hanging down the bottom a little bit. And I might fray it so it becomes a little bit of a feature. And my bookmark only needs to be twice the size of the book really, a little bit longer, so that it hangs down like this. You can trim it again later. And then if I want to make a wrap that holds it together and I'm not using it, I'm going to put a little piece in here as well. Great, so I'm going to hold that in place over there and ignore it for a little while, hopefully. And now what I want is an inside cover for this, and I'm going to choose this piece of brown paper here because it fits pretty much exactly. It's got a shiny side and a dull side, and I'm going to choose the dull side. I need to trim it just a little bit. I thought it was an A4 sheet, but it's one that I've already cut up another time. So I'm just going to trim this. Without trimming my bookmark accidentally, or my bind, my wrapping. Now I'm going to put that on one side, and I'm going to put glue once again all over the inside of this cover here. Oh, I'm running out of glue. These were the ends of the glues that I've picked up out of here. And I don't want mine shiny side up, I'm going to have matte. So I'm going to place that in there. And that's my cover made. Lots and lots of glue is good in here, just to hold it nice. And then when I open it up, if I've got pages, there's my bookmark, and that's how I would wrap it closed. That's very long. But I'm going to now take my pages that I had, and I've made a cover earlier, made two actually. This one I made earlier and this one. This one has sandpaper on the front, which is a little bit rough for putting next to other things, but you just keep that in mind. And with the wrapping, it kind of protects your other things. And this one has brown on the inside as well. But I'm going to use this one. I put the bookmark in and I put the wrapping in. And now we're going to sew this. I'm going to sew all of these pages into the book. First thing is I sew my pages together. And I have to make sure that all of the pages sit well within the cover and they're not dangling too far down, because once we sew this bit now, these pages will be stuck together. And then we're going to sew the pages onto the book. So I need my sharp needle. This needle is good and sharp and it's got a nice big eye, and I've got this green embroidery thread. I'm going to make a loop at the end, not too big a loop, but a loop, and I'll show you why I put a loop in. It's kind of like helps me think it's not going to fall apart. Because it's made out of paper and I'm sewing it, there is a chance, my hands are sticky, there is a chance that the knots can go through the paper. So to stop that happening, I put a little loop about that size at the end of my thread. Now I'm going to start from the inside of the book. You could sew it straight onto the cover now. I just find it easier to start with the pages and then sew it onto the cover. I don't know why, I just do. So I am going to I'm going to start about here. I'm not going to start at the top. You can start at the top, but here is good enough. And I'm going to go through to all of the creases that I've made, coming through on this side. And then I'm going to go through again. I have sewn this book many times and taken it apart during this process, so I do have some holes in most of the pages, which does actually make it a little bit easier, so you could do that for yourself. Keep folding it as you're pushing the needle through so that they do actually go through to the place that you want. Oh, I've forgotten to tell you about the loop. Right, let's come back here. This loop here, I'm going to attach this piece of thread through there now. And I'm going to trim this little bit off at the end, but that's kind of stopping this knot going through there. It's going to hold it onto the rest of the sewing, and all I'm doing is a running stitch, in and out, in and out. Brilliant, it's coming up straight through my crease, which I love, and if it doesn't, it's fine, it'll just be a little bit higgledy-piggledy. I'm doing them about an inch apart, which is about 2 to 3 centimetres. If you go all the way up to the top, you can come round, you know, and make a feature of your sewing that way. It's experimental. This is, you know, this isn't the only way to do a book. This is my way of doing a book that I've kind of picked up from as I've done it, experimenting. I'm going to go back through my holes so that all of these stitches join up as one big line. And then when I get back to here, I'm going to hold it there for a second. I'm going to check which way round my pages are, so I've put a little bit heart stamped on a few of them now. Some are upside down and some aren't, and that's fine. And now I'm going to go through, so I'm held my needle in here, but now I'm going to decide where this goes. Is that a nice fit? Yes, it is. I'm going to move it down slightly, and then I'm going to go through right next to where the seam is on here, the crease, but it's right next to the bookmark, which is helpful as a guide. And I'm going to go through. When we used the embroidery, when we cut off the embroidery earlier, the cotton, it was quite a long piece so that I can do all of this with it. This does get in the way a little bit. So stay patient. And then I'm going to go through this hole here. I have had to guess that it's going through there here. And if it isn't going through where you want it to go, you just move it slightly. I'm not happy with it there. There, that's good. Through here. And keep doing this in the same way that you did the pages. Oh, that's not in the right place. No, that isn't. That's a bit better. And you can't tell from this side. You can tell more from the other side, but I'm going to go back through my holes to make the outside stitching one line as well. And it's got plenty of stitching to hold it in place. And the pages are independently stitched. I think that's why I do it, because I like that independence of the pages. Oh. And then my thread has come out, which is why you like a nice big eye to get all of these threads through. I think I've lost some there. Woohoo, we're through at last. And then I'm going to go through this one. This is my last stitch that I'm going to go through, and then I want to knot this, so I'm going to go underneath with my needle and I'm going to go through this hoop that I've created just, and it's unthreaded, but I'm going to go through there, pull that tight, and then I'll go through again, just creating a little knot so it won't come undone. Quite important. I'm going to use the needle to help me. Pull that tight down there, and then I'm going to trim both of these. And there's your book with your bookmark and your wrapping thread. Now I might want to put, like I did on this one earlier, a little bit of stamping here. Well, the lovely house stamp, I love that. And then this book belongs to, you can write it in or you could stamp it in. And I've put those little houses there. I found that stamp yesterday in the art stop and I love it. Thank you to whoever made that. I've got these little heart stamps that I've put through it as well, and then I might want to make something on the back page, or a way of kind of like some kind of message to myself at the back. And I like to put messages through my book as well, so you might find little odd things that you can yeah, you know, like be happy to come across as you're working, as you're writing in your book, or as you're writing things or putting things in it. So you've now got your book like that. You can wrap it, you know, and you can do something like that with it. Keep it tight, or you can just wrap it round and hope for the best, or you can add another little bit on. You can tie it too. It's fabulous. Happy with that. Thank you very much.